Hello and welcome. My name's Steve Nobel, and today I'm speaking with Gemma Petherbridge on her book, The Crystal Apothecary. Gemma was running a successful six-figure business with her husband until she received a wake-up call to make a dramatic shift in her working life. And she began a new business selling crystals, teaching crystal healing, and her work is particularly relevant to Starseeds, those on a path of conscious awakening. Her business is called Conscious Crystals, and she's the author of The Crystal Apothecary, and the website link will go out with this podcast. So hi, Gemma.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure. Let me ask you, the dramatic shift, I read about it in, here's the book, by the way. You've got it behind you there.
Yeah.
I read a bit about it.
Hanging out the back.
Can you say something about your shift? It did sound a bit dramatic. That's why I said dramatic.
It was. In my 20s, I studied a lot of holistic modalities, but then I went traveling, moved to London, needed to do the sensible thing, get a job and just start earning money. Obviously, at some point, I also met you working for alternatives. And at that point, I set up a business with my husband, which was very much based around designing products and selling them through the website notonthehighstreet.com, which I loved. I learned a lot. I'm very grateful for that experience, because if I hadn't had that time, I wouldn't have been able to manage people, understand, the finances, the background of running a business. But by the time I'd done years and years of that, I started to kind of feel like clearly, everyone has a sole purpose or even many in their life. And I felt like I was going from one, something else was going to happen and I didn't know when and what it would be. And then I'm very, very good at falling over. I am out of my friend group. My friends laugh that I will fall over regularly. In fact, every time I meet one of them, chances are I'm going to trip. It's just one of those, I'm not grounded. I've had to deliberately ground myself over the years to stop myself doing this. But before I knew about grounding, I fell down the stairs. It sounds very dramatic. It wasn't as bad as it sounds, but I'd hurt my back enough that I had to be off work for a few weeks. Not good, because I was in retail and I did it just before Christmas. So it's a bit stressful, but it meant I had the time. Everything happens for a reason. And I kind of knew that I had also given myself the time off. Subconsciously, I needed a break, and I presume that's what was going on. So I started to read a few holistic books, a few more spiritual books, and I had the time to on my everyday, and got back into spirituality that I'd kind of lost over the very stressful time it was working for that old business that I was doing. I read one crystal book, which I had originally studied and qualified in my 20s at Glastonbury, and read one, read two, read three. A few weeks later, I'd read all of these crystal books. And by doing that, I'd realized what they don't really explain in the books, which is why each crystal has its property. So we generally take it for face value that rose quartz is the crystal for self-care and romance, but we don't always ask why. And that was what I'd learned. I read all these books and I'd kind of seen the links and read other books and my other training. So that's very much what I specialize in now, is why these crystals have their particular meaning. So that's very much explained to as much as I can in the book. But once I'd done all of that, and I'm lying there still with my bad back, not sort of what's going on, why have I done all of this? And throughout my life, I've been very, very intuitive. But again, being busy, I hadn't had the time to connect to my intuition. And I just basically connected to my intuition and was like, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing. I know I originally was on the right path. I'm not now. And connecting to it was like, crystals is your way forward. Set up an Instagram account to first talk about them, so you become able to describe the properties and describe how to work with crystals. And at the same time, you're learning as well as sharing the information. That was Conscious Crystals, which again, I didn't know what to call the account. I don't know about you, Steve. I hate picking business names because they've all gone. So trying to find one that's available, like the .com that's still available, is really hard, in my opinion. Yeah. So I asked my intuition, what should I call the business? And if I can't get a word through, but I know there's a word there. I don't know if you've ever had that experience with your intuition. Sometimes there's the energy of something to come through, but it's not, you can't understand what it is. I'll spell it out. So I was like, spell out this name. And it spelled out conscience crystals. I was a bit like, okay, don't know if I would have picked that name, but and again, why that name? And my intuition explained that I like the fact it's got the word science in energetically, because you like the science and the spirituality. I was like, okay, now I'm on board. So I picked that name, set up the Instagram account, and for the first 18 months, I was just talking about one crystal for 2 weeks. I was going very in depth into one crystal. And I was amazed at how many people followed, and it grew quick. And at the same time, I was getting companies in London asking if I could come in and speak to the staff, to their clients, all sorts of different things was going on. And again, Steve knows me from back in the day before I was doing all this. I was super shy. The idea of standing up in front of people and doing presentations wasn't something that Gemma would have done. But again, following my intuition, it did bring things in gradually so I could build on what I was doing without being thrown in the deep end. So I can see that now in hindsight. I was asked to start teaching about crystals for a few businesses, and that was again, nerves were there, but it was a process, and now I absolutely love teaching about crystals. When we went into lockdown, I was doing the same. Now everything's online, which I love even more because it means I can be with my family and also teach. And with the book, that's a very good example, again, of working with your intuition and being guided. I got to the point where I was doing lives talking about crystals on Instagram, and I do live Q&As about crystals quite a lot. And I was asking why, and they're like, you'll find out why, just do the lives. And the publishers, when they came to me, they said they heard about me through my lives. So it just shows how things mix. You know, you follow your intuition, you may not know what's going to come, but it definitely does, and it all works out.
Well, I do remember his shy Gemma sitting in the corner. Now no longer at the forefront of crystal healing, holding the sword of light. Thank you. So Gemma, let's dive into crystals. I mean, one of the first things I heard about crystals, and you talk about it in your book, is cleaning, cleansing. Not everyone knows about this or appreciates how important it is. Why is it important?
So there's two different trains of thought, one that it is important and one that it isn't. And I think it works very much with people and how much they want to connect with the crystal, because it definitely connects the person more. Basically, cleaning and cleansing a crystal is taking out energies that crystal may have took on. So everything's a frequency. Crystals, more so, that's why we work with them. We're bringing them into our space to work with their energies. So you'd pick a particular crystal because that's got the energy that you need right now. But if it's, sorry about that. Hopefully you guys didn't just hear a bell, fingers crossed. If it's gone through sort of a supply chain, it's going to have took on the energy of the people that it's passed through. If it's been gifted to you from someone else, potentially that person's energy could be on that crystal. And it's good to clear and cleanse that energy away so that it's purely you've got a connection with that crystal and there's nothing else going on. That's basically, in essence, the reasons why. I'll get a lot of people ask me why they feel like they can't connect to a crystal, or sometimes that the energy feels wrong, like it's not an energy they're enjoying being around, and it's probably because they need to cleanse it. So you can do quick cleanses. Reiki light's a nice one, just holding a crystal, imagining nice white lights. Sound is lovely, like just a chime through it, because again, frequency over frequency, it's going to clear it. And that's if it's like an everyday, like say a malachite green crystal used for pain relief. So that's, oh good, you've got an example, because I don't for that one. That's good, brilliant. That's malachite, amazing for pain relief. You'd hold it over the space that's in pain, and it literally takes up that energy. So in that context, it's going to be good to cleanse that energy off that crystal so it can go back and do the job for you. If you're purchasing a crystal, you've had it for a while and you've never really resonated with it, that could be something a bit deeper. And then you could do a deeper cleanse, which some people even go as far into putting the crystal back into the ground, leaving it there for quite a while, up to a month, and then bringing it back out. So it's really got rid of that energy, and then it can start afresh.
Right. I have put them under running water, and I put them in the garden for 24 hours. Well, actually 48 hours. I think that's what I do. I wouldn't put them in for a month, but that's my own personal way of
that's an extreme. If they're sort of jarring with the crystal, it's surprising how many people feel that. And I'm like, there's like stages. You're right. Running water is one of my favorites. You've got to be careful about what crystals you put under running water. Here I've got celestite.
Yeah.
Crystal that connects you to the angels, but it's called a low Mohs hardness, which means it's not a strong crystal. If that was put under water, it would literally dissolve.
Oh, right.
So you just Google before you do that to double check the crystal's going to be happy.
Yeah. I know that some don't like salts. You can put some in a bowl of salt, sea salt or something, and some don't like that. You know, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
What about programming crystals? Because once you've got a clear crystal, there's all kinds of things you can do, such as program them. Talk about it in your book a little bit.
Yeah. So programming, it's very practical, and it means you can do more with a crystal than maybe it's just its general properties. It's particularly good with clear quartz, which is the classic beginner's crystal. Now it's good with clear quartz because clear quartz is transparent. It means it's got the light, the rainbow going through. So it's got all other colors running through it. That's why it's so good at being programmed, because it's got that ability to kind of shift its properties in many different ways. And you would literally, so programming is asking this crystal to support you in a particular way. And all you do is you hold it in your non-dominant hand, so the hand that you don't write with. It's very quick as well. It doesn't need to be a big process, this. You hold it in your non-dominant hand. I would close my eyes and calm myself down so I feel lovely and relaxed. Therefore, you're at the right vibe for it to be a nice, easy process. And you want to be visualizing how you want it to support you. And I now say to people, it's not, say if you're aiming, I don't know, you're aspiring to own your own home and you're saving up to do that at the moment, you wouldn't, in my point of view, you wouldn't think of, buying that new house. You'd want to go a step further to living in that dream house. So you're not even just buying it, you're in it, it's you, it's what you do. So you would literally think about the energy of what it's like to be in that house, that it's your home. Maybe it's paid for in full if you want to go that far. Yeah. And that's the energy you put in the crystal. And therefore that particular crystal is focused on that until you have met that need, or the need slightly shifted. So it could get you so far, then you want to clear it, like we were saying before. That's another reason why cleansing and clearing crystals is really good, because then it goes to neutral and then you can program it for the next thing.
Brilliant. Well, in this day and age, with all the shifts going on in the world, the crystals are very useful. For example, repelling negative energy is something that people are very interested in. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. I don't want to pick this stuff up. How can I use crystals to kind of bounce it off or absorb it so I don't get it? Or what could be done for that?
Well, for me, and I think you're similar, Steve, black crystals in particular are the ones I would put into my space so that they will take on the negative energy rather than me. This is my black tourmaline beauty that lives near my computer for that reason. So any energy from the computer. This beauty's been with me for years and does its job very, very well. I've got a lot of other black crystals around me, but if it's more that you're in a space where, I'm going to forget the word. What's the energy vampire?
Yeah.
You're around other people where you're feeling, and to be fair, at the moment, there's so much going on in the world that is going to create a similar energy where other things are taking away your own energy because you're focused on all these other things that are going on in the world. So that's where it's good to have what I would say is an energetic hygiene practice. So once in a while, again, you take a moment to yourself, you probably calm, relax yourself, and then think of the things that maybe are doing that at the most. The kind of people that when you spend time with them, that afterwards you're going to feel a bit drained. That's the easiest ones to start with, that kind of thing. Black obsidian is the classic. This is a black obsidian arrow. Classic for this, but any black obsidian would do the same thing. It's just arrows are Native American Indians would obviously use this for hunting, but they would literally use it for this practice as well, which is called cutting cords.
Yeah.
So if you're finding that your energy is being taken by something else, or you just intuitively feel that's happening, you would imagine that cord and you would literally run. This is why arrows are so good, because you've got the metaphor of that, the arrow, the cutting, over your auric field where you think these cords are. And when I'm teaching, if I'm in person with people, it's nice. COVID hopefully is coming to an end so we can start doing the group work again. I would hand these out and ask everybody to do it, and they smile once they've started to cut the cords, and there's a nice energy lift that happens, and a little smile that appears on people's faces. So you just do that as much as possible. Remember to do your back, because the back is where a lot of energy gets taken. Armpits, Native American Indians always say armpits, and I've started to do that, and that's a good one. And feet, underneath the feet for sure. And the other one, so you do that for a little bit again, never needs to be long, a minute, 2 minutes, unless you're in a deep emotional, you know, a lot going on where you want to take the time. And then selenite, and again, this happens to be the perfect shape, but any form of selenite would do it. Waving this over the auric field would just clean up any other energies that aren't yours, kind of take them out of the auric field. So that's a selenite wand.
Right.
That process.
I'm glad I've got mine handy then. I've
got one as well. There you go.
I've got a twirly one as well.
Oh, I love those ones.
Here we are. I need to get my black tourmaline because I don't know where it's gone. I need to go and find it. What about the opposite, Gemma, about raising vibrations? So it's clearing out, but crystals are great for raising vibrations, aren't they?
They are. So crystals definitely can do two things. They can, if there's something going on, especially emotions going on or physical things going on where it's almost our energies are going down, we can bring in a crystal to bring them up. But like you've just said, you can also, if you're aspiring to bring something into your life, crystals, in my point of view now, are the ancient vision boards. If you want something, you could bring it, you could get a crystal to help you raise your energy to the thing that you would like we would create a vision board. So I've got an absolute classic for this here as well. And I know you love natural citrine, but this is a Kundalini natural citrine.
Oh, very nice.
Hence, she's quite dramatic because she's got all of these. And just so you guys know why we're saying it, when there's lots of points, it's a community crystal as well. So this would be lovely in a community space. So we've got, that's the natural citrine. I've also got burnt amethyst citrine, which is the budget option for anybody who would struggle with the other one. And what these would do, so citrine in particular, its main energy is the energy of pure joy, which is the highest energy or frequency emotion that a human can feel. And because that's its normal vibration, it would raise us up to meet it. And this is a perfect example of where I talk about crystals having lots of different properties and understanding why it has all these properties. So citrine is also, I'll pick this one up because she's prettier in my point of view. Because it's the crystal of pure joy, it knows to get you to that state. It wants to bring into your life the things that are going to make you that happy, that joyous. So therefore, it's also a very famous manifesting crystal, because to bring those things in, it's got to be really good at manifesting. So when you look in the crystal books, and it feels like it jumps around topics sometimes. It would say it's good at joy. It's a happiness crystal. It's also a manifesting crystal. And that's why it's both of those. So it's a very optimistic crystal to have around. And literally all you'd need to do, I mean, this is a big piece. So if you put that in display that in the house, brilliant. Otherwise, when we have the smaller ones, just keeping it in a space or on you, ideally around your solar plexus, because that's the energy that it would match. So like a pocket around that area would be good, or a necklace that kind of sat around the solar plexus. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, I mean, there's so many things I could ask you. I'm going to ask you a personal question now, which is, there are some very good crystals for starseeds, I find. One of them is the moldavite.
Yes.
And the other one I think you mentioned is Lemurian seed crystals in the book. These kind of crystals, which are, to me, a little bit more way out there. Can you say something about these kind of crystals?
Oh, I could talk about those crystals all day, quite happily. Yes, definitely. So this is my Lemurian. Just, I've got one of the larger ones with you.
Oh, yeah.
if anyone's wondering what those ones are. So these are all crystals. Well, I'm going to go back a stage. On the front of the book, so for me, there's one just there, but I know you got, thank you. That's the Lemurian, but it's also a golden healer. So the yellow one, that's a golden healer Lemurian. It's deliberately on the book. It's one of the things I was allowed to pick because it's, in my point of view, the energy that needs to be seen as much as possible at the moment. And in the 80s, a big new collection or source of crystals started to appear that very much had the energy of the age of Aquarius. One of the first ones was the golden healer. Which is, again, it's the Lemurian has it as well, but the yellow, the hematite yellow. I've got quite a few here to show you guys. And it was all about healing body, mind and soul, but also the awareness of Christ consciousness and how we've all got the abilities within us if we wanted to explore that kind of idea. So we started off with those energies. Then the Lemurians started to through, and I the whole story about Lemurian if you want me to, Steve. That's up to you, about what they are and how you work with them. They came through in stages. So the clear quartz Lemurians were first, and you know it's a true Lemurian because one side won't have ladders, and I'm hoping I can show you on the video, and then the other sides, let's get a really clear. Can you see the ladders on that one, which is the lines going across?
Yeah. I think so.
To get a true one, you want it to go ladders, no ladders, ladders, no ladders, all the way around. Look out for that, because that's not everybody realizes that, so it's easy to purchase the wrong thing. They came through sort of in the noughties, and they started with the clears, then there was smokies, and now there's like tangerine, pinks. And they're all about the, again, age of Aquarius, helping us remember our ancient histories, the ancient Egyptians, going back further to Mu, Lemurian, and Atlantis. And a lovely long myth cut very short. The idea is if you're drawn to a particular Lemurian, it's probably one that you buried and that you programmed with the knowledge of that time. And if you are drawn to one, do consider at least holding it in the crystal shop as long as you can to see if those lessons can be remembered. So that's what that's about. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I definitely, to a point, specialize in Lemurians. I absolutely love them. One that's very fashionable right now, what I love as well. Have I got her? I'm going to lean 1 minute. One is out of shot. I hope that wasn't an unattractive lean. Let's go. There we go. So this is, many people would know this to be blue onyx, but now it's kind of getting a rephrase as Lemurian aquatine calcite. And in the book, I talk about this being very much one that helps you go from the 3D to 5D. And so the back of the book, and I talk about potentially using this where you would surround yourself, probably with smaller pieces. I mean, this is a lovely small piece, but just some tumbles. You would be the grid. So you would sit in the middle, this around you, and it would help raise your vibration. So it's really good at doing that and help you transition from a 3D to a 5D. Who else have we got? And then very recently, well, one thing I've noticed, a lot of people are getting drawn to crystals that are more connected to nature. Do you know this one, Steve? These are gorgeous. This is everybody loves this at the moment. This is a moss agate. Rather large moss agate. Don't have to get them this size. You can get all sorts. And I think this is because so many people's Earth star is now opening up. So they're feeling more connected to the Earth. If you're into crystals, you'll probably Earth stars already open up for sure. But a lot of people are wanting these in their home, especially since COVID, sort of bringing nature in. And very recently, with everything going on as well, I think it's become more aware. We've got, this is pink amethyst, the true pink amethyst. There's another kind as well. Only found in one place in the world, Patagonia. And I think it takes them about 2 days to trek to get them, and they can only bring small amounts back. So they've got to trek back. And it's all about real kind of heart opened empathy and very 5D. It's all about the community, not about the individual, and working together. So these have been around since, I want to say 2019. And in the same spot, the same people found this in 2021. So this is this is called Spirit Flowers.
Yeah.
Very, very new crystal, same location, same people. So just remote part of Patagonia. And it's all about reconnecting the soul and integrating the soul again. So you can see a lot of the new crystals that are coming in are less about abundance, manifesting, kind of spiritually, physical wants, and more about helping us go from the 3D into the 5D.
Fantastic. I don't suppose you have any moldavite to hand, but what about moldavite? I'm always fascinated with moldavite, these kind of tektites.
Yeah, moldavite is, literally the amount of people are just like, when they experience moldavite, it next levels their crystal experience. So moldavite is only found in one part of the Czech Republic. It's from an asteroid that's 15 million years old. And it's literally, as you said, it's a tektite. So when the asteroid came down, the meteorite came down, it hit sand that then created a glass, which is the moldavite. So, and it's now becoming extremely popular. So guys, there are fakes of that out there, but when you hold it up, you want to look for tiny bubbles, and they can't really do that with a fake. And it's the bubbles, the air that's got trapped. So always do that, hold it up, try and find bubbles, and then you'll have that reassurance you've got a good one. And it's all about, so again, crystals are very much about metaphors. So it's come from outer space. So it's all about alien ideas, alien concepts. And it's definitely about, if you feel like you're from the Pleiades, the Leonards, anything like that, it will help bring that knowledge back. A lot of people find it extremely buzzy. I don't know, do you find that buzzy?
When I bought this ring for a week, it was like my whole body was buzzing, and then it kind of calmed down. Now I wear it most of the time, and it's all right. I'm more used to it now.
Yeah, there's a lot of my friends who fell in love with it and bought a few pieces and kind of adorned themselves in it. But like, actually, maybe one piece at a time at the beginning is enough. And it is buzzy, and it can, if you are feeling like it's bringing on a headache, or you're feeling a bit like, basically wear it until you feel that's enough. Over time, you can start wearing it, like you said, all the time. And it does bring in, do you get in your dream state, do things come through, or when you're meditating? Or
because I treated myself in Glastonbury. I bought a whole necklace, cost me nearly like £1,000 or something, I don't know how much it was. And so I've got that, I've got a bracelet of it here, or somewhere here, this is it.
That's
this one
lovely
here. And ring, and I've got a pendant of it. I mean, I've got a lot, because I do find that crystals call to me a lot. So I find that I can't wear all of it for too long. I have to take, the ring is not too bad, but the necklace is like quite strong.
Yeah, I've got a necklace that's got a Herkimer diamond there as well. That's a choice. I'm going to have a very busy, buzzy day if I'm wearing that one. The other one that it matches really well, I'm sure you know, Liberian Tektite.
Liberian Tektite. I've got the Tibetan one. I've got the Libyan one. I don't know about that one.
Liberian Desert Tektite. So yellow. Looks like a moldavite, but it's yellow.
Yeah, I think I've got a ring for that. Yeah.
There's a theory behind that now, which again, it matches moldavite so well, which is about spaceships. Have you heard of that one?
No.
So a colleague of mine, Katie Jane Wright, who's also a crystal specialist, but also we've seen on Gaia TV, quite a few other places. She downloaded this information, shared it, and then I've seen it in a few other places as well. Liberian Desert Tektite is the same. It's from an asteroid. Well, that's what people presumed. In Liberia, one place, there isn't much of it to be found. Very buzzy again, but they can't understand. There wasn't an asteroid this time. They cannot understand why it's there. And Katie channeled the information that it was from spaceships leaving. As they left and flew off, obviously there's the sand, and it's created the glass. But she didn't overly share that, because of course that's quite specialist information. And now there's other people channeling that as well, that it's back from the days when maybe aliens came down in Egypt and other places, and then they left, and who's created that particular crystal. So that's another really interesting buzzy crystal to work with.
So amazing. So Gemma, thank you so much. This is a brilliant book packed with lots of information. I mean, we've only really just touched upon it. And Gemma's website will be up with this podcast. And there will also be a separate track with a meditation for connecting with crystals. So thanks, Gemma. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see you.
And you.